Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me here today to speak on behalf of Ecommerce Europe. Very happy to be at an in-person event again after 2 years of only sitting behind a screen. So I'm very happy to see many of you here today. Maybe let me start with a quick introduction on Ecommerce Europe. So who are we? We already heard a little bit before. But Ecommerce Europe is an umbrella organization of 23 national e-commerce associations. And we operate in the heart of the European Union in Brussels, where we represent the interest of the digital commerce sector to European policymakers. And we try to work with them to make sure that the rules and regulations that are coming from Brussels to all of you in the member states are as suitable as possible for our businesses, for our sector. We do that, we work on a few key policy areas. These are just some examples, for instance, data protection, consumer protection, the platform economy, sustainability, logistics, taxation, just to name a few. What we try to do in our vision is that we have seen in the last couple of years that we see the development of e-commerce as being, of the resale sector in general, as going towards an omni-channel sector. And this is also something that we really try to bring across to European policymakers. So I'm very happy that today I can walk you through some of the key policy developments that have come from Brussels. So rules that you can expect in the next months and years in your countries that have been created in Brussels. We can really see that in the last couple of years there has been a bit of the shift in Brussels. So before there was a really different focus, but in the last couple of years we see that European policymakers and the Commission in particular is really trying to regulate the digital economy with a strong focus on the developments that have been ongoing in the last couple of years with digitalization, globalization, and everything that comes with that for e-commerce. This has come also with some new legislation and some new focus areas. And here we see again topics such as the platform economy being a very big topic, but also consumer protection in the digital era, sustainability across the supply chain. These are all really big topics that we are working on at the moment, and that is also really a priority from European policymakers. The aim is really to make sure that the rules that we have in place, some old rules, but also some new rules, are really fit for the developments that have been ongoing very rapidly in the sector. So, as I mentioned, one of the key developments that we've seen is the development of the platform economy. Especially, I think, during the pandemic, we saw the development of marketplaces as being one of the quickest developments in the sector. Also, where small brick-and-mortar shops started using marketplaces more and more to be able to sell their products online. And the Commission also saw this, and what they have decided to do is they decided to come with 2 legislative initiatives to tackle the problems that they saw with this. I will walk you through some of these topics in a bit more detail so you know for the next years what could be your priorities for your business. The first is the Digital Markets Act. This has actually been very recently agreed upon, and this is an initiative in which the Commission saw a concern with the increasingly powerful position of a few very large companies in our sector in Europe. And they considered that these companies had a few unfair practices that they used. You can think about, for instance, certain data collection practices. And what they set out to do, they created a new law which focuses on these very few companies, and they're called gatekeepers. And these companies are now restricted with regards to certain practices and what they can and cannot do to ensure the competitiveness of SMEs in our sector. And that's at least what the European Commission set out to do. As Ecommerce Europe, we've always tried to make sure that the rules that are in place are very much fit to our sector, because the digital sector as such is very broad. You see many different types of big digital companies, and we try to make sure that the e-commerce companies that are in scope, that the rules are actually fit for them. The second initiative in this field, in the platform economy, is the Digital Services Act. And this is probably, at least in the Brussels area, maybe the most famous policy initiative, and it's also very broad. So it focuses on creating transparency, accountability, and responsibilities for intermediary service providers. And this you can translate to, in our sector, mostly online marketplaces. Also here, some very specific and extra rules were again created for a few very large companies. These will probably be around 10 companies or so. Some examples of what these rules includes maybe, online marketplaces will have more strict rules for know your business customer obligations, so to improve traceability of traders that sell via our online platform, in particular from companies that sell from outside of the European Union into the European Union. You can also see a more harmonized system for notice and action, so to take down illegal content from online marketplaces, but also topics such as targeted advertising, recommender systems, dark patterns. These were all part of the discussions on the Digital Services Act. So it was a really big discussion. It actually been agreed upon 2 weeks ago in Brussels, so we expect that in the coming months there will be more discussion on the finalization, and then also in the next year it will be implemented in all the different member states. So then you can also expect it for your businesses. Some final technicalities are still to be finalized, but in general the structure is there. A bit linked to this discussion has been a discussion on product safety. And this is also a bit linked to the globalization and digitalization of our sector, of retail in general, because the Commission has considered that there's too many unsafe products flowing from outside of the European Union into the European Union. And to tackle this, they have set out to update the existing framework for product safety rules, in particular to update it to reflect more the digital reality in which we're currently in. So which role do online marketplaces play? What are the possibilities for digital product information? These types of obligations are included, and it's also being extended to a wider group of categories. What we've been trying to do at EU level, because these discussions are still ongoing, we have been trying to make sure that the rules are proportionate to the different actors that are involved. You can imagine that maybe a producer or a manufacturer is much better able to comply with certain rules than a retailer or an e-commerce business is. And we've also been trying to argue for a bit of a risk-based approach. So that if you have a small business, that you're not spending unnecessary time and resources on the relatively low-risk products such as a book, but rather that you can spend those resources on more high-risk products such as maybe more advanced electronic products. But this is still ongoing, so this is something to keep an eye on for the next couple of months. Then maybe linked to this again is the discussion on sustainability. Because also for sustainability, there's a lot of discussion on, for instance, product information and also on products that come from outside of the European Union. And the Commission is really trying to set up a new framework to make sure that the future of the retail sector is really sustainable. To do so, this year is actually crucial. They're coming with a few initiatives, such as, for instance, corporate sustainable due diligence, but also sustainable product initiative, really focusing on how can products be designed in a sustainable way, or how can we prevent the destruction of unsold goods. And in the future, in the next few months, we can also expect a proposal on a right to repair, in which consumers in the future will have a right to repair for products that they buy online as well. So here we're trying to think about which structures do you need in place. If you're a retailer, how can you get those spare parts to provide consumers with those spare parts? These types of issues we're currently thinking about. Here there's also some sector-specific initiatives, for instance, on packaging, on waste, on textiles, but that's all still ongoing. So that's on sustainability. Another key focus area for the European Union, and it's a bit more new, so the platform economy was basically last year, and this year we have AI, artificial intelligence, and the Data Act. And here we see that the European Union has noticed that Europe is a little bit behind if you look at the rest of the world. So we have Asia, we have the United States, and Europe is trying to catch up. So what they're trying to do, they published a few initiatives, in particular the Artificial Intelligence Act and the Data Act, in which they're trying to unleash the untapped potential of the European data economy. With the Artificial Intelligence Act, we see that different countries have different rules at the moment, and they're trying to harmonize them and bring them at European level to make sure we can act more as one bloc at a global stage. But at the same time, they're also looking at the risks of these systems. So what are the risks associated with artificial intelligence? And they're trying to regulate this. So we're trying to make sure that these rules are proportionate and that at the same time we leave enough room for innovation for companies and also for smaller companies to start investing in these new technologies. On the Data Act, this is also another initiative which is currently ongoing and still undergoing heavy negotiations between the different European institutions. Here, it's really about data sharing. So what type of data are we dealing with as companies? Are we dealing with smart products? What type of data? Who owns that data and who can we share that data with? And we're talking about business to consumer sharing, business to business sharing, and business to government sharing. It's particularly during the COVID crisis, they saw that sometimes it might be required for business to share certain data with governments for instance, public safety or health. Then maybe onto payments, just briefly, because that's not really my field of expertise, but one of my colleagues at Brussels is dealing with this. But in terms of payments, we're really seeing that this year will also be a crucial year. The Commission is coming with some initiatives to tap in or to foster the growth of instant payments in the summer. And here you can think about, for instance, specific rules with regards to consumer protection in case of instant payments. And they're also assessing how the current Payment Services Directive, which is in place, is working, so that most likely next year we can look at a revision of this. Then I'll keep it short on taxation and start a little video that we have worked on in the field of VAT.
The VAT One-Stop Shop 2.0, towards a unified VAT solution. The introduction of the European Union's 2021 e-commerce VAT package has helped by simplifying VAT obligations for businesses distance selling across the EU. But this leaves out an important aspect of EU trade. Businesses don't only store their inventory in their own countries, but also in various EU countries where they aren't established. And they have to comply with VAT obligations in each one of them. A system that puts small and medium-sized enterprises at a disadvantage. Take Alice. She wants to sell to customers all over Europe. To offer a fast, efficient and eco-friendly delivery, Alice needs the flexibility to place her inventory in multiple locations across the EU before selling to her customers. But for each of these countries, she has to apply for a VAT number and file VAT returns. This is time-consuming and costly. It takes Alice more than 100 days and thousands of euros to get just one VAT number. Once that is set up, she needs to file VAT returns, costing 8,000 euros every year for every EU country of storage, which makes the idea of cross-border storage less and less attractive for Alice. Policy action is necessary to protect businesses from this situation. The single market needs an extension of the VAT one-stop shop to a version 2.0, allowing SMEs like Alice's to report all EU supplies and inventory movements through a single VAT return. This will simplify VAT compliance and reduce costs, allowing SMEs, the backbone of Europe's economy, to expand and grow. Moreover, consumers all over Europe will have a larger choice, better prices, as well as a faster delivery, and EU countries will benefit from more trade and better VAT compliance, providing additional tax revenues to fund public services. And this is why the EU needs a VAT one-stop shop 2.0. Simpler, fairer, more efficient. The VAT One-Stop Shop 2.0.
Yeah, thank you. So this was just a little example of something that we used in policy making to show politicians in Brussels that we need simplification for small businesses in the field of VAT. That was it. I hope it was a little bit helpful in terms of giving you a snapshot of what is going on in Brussels in terms of policy. Helps you to prepare maybe for what is coming your way as businesses in your countries in the next years. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me later somewhere in the building. Thank you.